Our modern economy has this fundamental flaw, a massive blind spot that's putting everything we've built at risk. But what if the solution has been right in front of us, all around us, this whole time? Okay, let's get into it. We're going to explore how we can fix our economy by finally learning to count what actually matters.
Just look at this scene, a beautiful, thriving river ecosystem. But in the cold, hard logic of our current economic system, what's it worth? The clean water, the stable banks that stop floods, all that life? Right now, on the official books, the answer is a big fat zero. And that's the whole problem. Our economy is built on a massive asset that is completely invisible. So there's a name for this invisible asset. It's called natural capital. It's basically the world's stock of natural goodies. The soil, the air, the water, every living thing that give us all the stuff we need to survive and thrive. You can think of it as nature's own bank account, the fundamental wealth that supports everything else.
So here's our game plan. First, we're going to look at this invisible economic engine. Then we'll see what the rising bill for neglecting it looks like. After that, we'll talk about the solution, actually putting nature on the books. Then we'll break down a real investment plan. And finally, we'll get to the good part, the prize at the end of all this, a much, much richer future.
All right, let's start with the big paradox here. Our entire economy, the whole thing, is built on nature. And yet, when we make economic decisions, we act like nature is completely worthless. We're basically running our global household while totally ignoring our most valuable possession. This slide just lays it out so clearly. We totally get the first two types of capital, right? Produced capital, that's the stuff we build, like roads and factories. Human capital, that's us, our knowledge, our skills. But for centuries, we've been acting like that third pillar doesn't even exist. Natural capital, our forests, our oceans, all of biodiversity. It's the foundation for the other two.
And this right here, this is why we're so messed up. Our main scorecard for success, GDP, is great at counting things we buy and sell, but it's completely blind to the actual work nature does for free. The bees pollinating our crops, the wetlands protecting us from storms, the forests keeping our climate stable. This is how you end up in a crazy situation where GDP is going up, but the actual foundational wealth that keeps us alive is going down.
So what happens when you ignore a critical asset? Well, it breaks down. And eventually, the bill comes due. It turns out that treating nature as free is anything but. It comes with a very real and very fast-growing price tag. Get ready for this number. 60%. Just let that sink in for a minute. More than half of the world's entire economic output is directly riding on the services that nature provides. This isn't some fringe issue, folks. This is a core macroeconomic fact. Our economy is seriously exposed to the decline of nature.
And these risks, they aren't some far-off abstract threat. The source material is very clear. By 2030, and that is right around the corner, a partial collapse of these natural services could literally shave 2.3% off global GDP every single year. And for some of the world's most vulnerable countries, that number could be a devastating 10%. This is an economic fire alarm ringing loud and clear.
And as this quote shows, this isn't just a theory. It's happening right now. We're already seeing it. The supply chain shocks, the insurance markets that can't figure out how to price risk anymore, the communities losing their livelihoods, they're all just symptoms of this one root cause, our failure to value nature. Okay, so that's the problem. It's big, I get it. But the good news is we actually have the tools to fix it. The solution starts with a pretty simple idea, a fundamental shift in how we do our accounting. It's time to finally put nature on the books.
To do this, we need a new accounting system. And believe it or not, we already have one. It's called the SEEA. It's a UN-approved framework that lets countries weave together their economic data and their environmental data. To put it simply, it's the tool that lets us finally add nature to a country's official balance sheet.
And this isn't just about making fancy reports. By using a system like SEEA, governments can start making way smarter decisions. They can look at their budgets and see if they're actually helping or hurting nature. They can do a real cost-benefit analysis for a new dam that includes the value of the river it's replacing. They can even start linking how well they manage their natural assets to how much it costs to borrow money. It makes the invisible visible and totally actionable.
So once you can actually see the value of nature, the next step is pretty logical, right? You invest in it. Just like we invest in roads and bridges, we have to start investing in our natural infrastructure. And that brings us to the action plan.
The headline number here is $400 billion. That's the extra investment needed every single year by 2030 to protect and restore nature. Now, I know that sounds like a lot of money, but we have to see this as an investment, one that will generate massive returns in security and prosperity, not as a cost.
So where does that cash need to go? The priorities are pretty clear. About a third of it needs to go toward fixing our degraded lands and soils, which is, the foundation of how we feed ourselves. Another big chunk is for protecting our forests and all the life within them. And the rest gets targeted at our rivers, our coastlines, and even bringing nature back into our cities. Now, the big question, where does $400 billion a year come from? Well, this part is pretty mind-blowing. The source material points out that right now, globally, we spend $1.7 trillion a year on subsidies that actively harm nature. We are literally paying people to destroy our own life support systems. If we just repurposed a fraction of that money, we could fully fund this entire investment plan.
So the path forward for governments is actually a pretty clear four-step process. First, value nature by using systems like SEEA. Second, decide to actually use that information in all your planning. Third, finance it with new tools. And fourth, enable everyone else, especially private companies, to do the right thing by rewarding them for it.
Okay, let's talk about the payoff. This whole thing isn't about sacrifice or making our lives harder. It's about shifting to a smarter, more durable way of living. Let's look at the incredible prize that's waiting for us if we get this right.
This is the vision. This is the goal. An economy that doesn't see a conflict between growth and the environment, but sees a powerful partnership. A system where investing in nature's health directly makes us healthier and wealthier. An economy that enriches nature, and by doing that, enriches all of us.
So I'll leave you with this one question. For centuries, our progress has been fueled by drawing down our natural capital account. We literally built the modern world by spending it. Just imagine what kind of world we could build if we finally started investing in it.